So today I just wanted to come on and take a closer look at this yarn. I think that I was showing this maybe last week that I had picked up at Joann's. So this is the Little Bit of Everything yarn. And the content here is, I had to put my glasses on, 45% acrylic, 26% cotton, 19% wool, and 10% alpaca. It is a bulky 5, and it recommends a 6.5 millimeter hook, or a K 10.5. So it says hand wash, lay flat to dry. Now, this yarn is beautiful. This is called Firefly Forest. And I don't know, I'm trying to get in the clear here. I don't know how clearly that's coming across, but it is just to die for. This one is called Solar, and basically I just rolled this into a ball. We have a pattern coming up this week that I think you're really going to like, and I made it with this Solar colored yarn here. So this is a little baby overcoat and bonnet set. Is that not adorable? It's so cute. So I have a pattern for both of these items coming up this week. So stick with me for that and be on the lookout. And I've spent enough time with this yarn this week to kind of form some opinions on it. And I just wanted to share some of what I learned with you. For starters, this is a chain spun yarn. I don't know how clearly you can see that, but if you look, you can see the little, almost looks braided netting in there. Okay, so you know, it seems like it's sturdy. The thing of it is that my first instinct when I made the bonnet was to do a magic circle. I ended up not being able to do that, however, because the yarn, when it pulls, that's what happens. So if you pull too hard on this yarn, like you're cinching up your circle, it's going to go, you know, just that fast. See that? That is, there's a part of me that wants to say that is like a fatal flaw. Okay? You know, it comes out so easy. I don't know if I've ever been able to break yarn as easy as I can break this yarn. So that's a problem for me. When it first happened, I thought, oh no, this is, you know, it's faulty. There's something wrong with it. It was a different ball though. This is a new ball. Okay, and so then I've got this green one, this gorgeous, gorgeous green. One thing I would also like to say is that this packaging is not working. It literally, it is not on there. Every ball that I have purchased, and I've gotten now, I think I've bought 4 of these now. Every single time, this is just undone and everywhere. And I like to keep my labels intact. So I'm going to test this green one and see how it does. Like I said, this was a different ball than the first one I used. And there we go. Just snaps. So my first instinct was to say, I'm just going to clip that off to clean it up. My first instinct was to say, well, that's it. You know, I mean, it's you know, I'm not trying to be overly picky. It's just that the yarn is beautiful and I want to be able to use it. I want to be able to make, you know, anything I want with it. And obviously, the fact that I can't even make a magic circle is limiting me to what I can and cannot do. So already, right out the gate, I'm limited, right? So I just started thinking about the content of the yarn, right? And so the acrylic fibers and the cotton fibers clearly are very thin. Let me just get that fuzzy off. And look at this. See how thin these strands are? They're incredibly thin. Right? Incredibly thin. So if this yarn were built maybe with a tougher inner coil here, if it were built with a stronger center, you know, maybe it would open itself up to be more items, to be able to be made into more things. You know, here, that white is that braided chain spun, and it, of course, is very thin. But then you've got these other, like, wool fibers that are, like, woven in and out of that, chaining, and they're hanging on pretty good, you know. And so I started thinking about the construction of this yarn, and I think, realistically, that given the fact that it is constructed of a lot of different variables, that it is a little bit of everything, is kind of lending itself to having these little flaws. That being said, if you can find a way to find a garment that works, also find a garment that you want to make that you don't have to be pulling on the yarn, maybe something just a little more, that you're going to use a little more care with, a little more grace with, be a little more gentle with. That's where we are with this. You know, this is not a rough and tumble yarn. And I was like, well, you know, this is terrible. And then I started thinking, well, we're not all rough and tumble people, and all yarn is not the same. And the fact that it's so beautiful and incredibly unique made me want to go back for a second look. So I decided to work around the fact that I couldn't make a magic circle, and I made, you know, just a regular, I chain 4 and then double crocheted into that, and made my bonnet from there. Now, something to note, that once my garment is together, obviously, now it's very strong. I mean, I'm not going to be able to break it apart now that it's worked together. So, you know, it changes in the course of being made into something structured. So just because this yarn struck me odd at first does not make it a no-go for me. It just means that it has its limitations, and if you work within those limitations, you can make something extraordinary. This little coat worked up beautifully. I noticed when I used this yarn, I didn't want to go too heavy on like different stitches, because the yarn itself, I wanted it to shine, so I didn't want to mix it up too much with some crazy stitch work. But the little bit that I did do, it just showed itself off so nicely. These are just doubles up here, and then we went into some singles, and then finished off with this crunch stitch, and then did a little scalloped edge all the way around. And the whole thing, look at the detail in just that little crunch stitch with all that little halo coming out, and just made the perfect little wool coat for baby. It just it worked up just as beautiful as I thought it would. Given that, I think that it's definitely worth a second glance, and really it's worth your time to figure out how you can use it, because when it's worked up, it really does become something quite special and unique, and a little bit different than some of the other yarns that I've seen lately. So stitch marker wise, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I really would love to go higher, because just for its attractiveness, just for how pretty it is. But the fact that you are limited, that you can't do something that requires a tight pull, that you may have to be a little more gentle. This is going to be a definite hand-washed garment, so you're going to have special care involved, which is not that unique. But when you accompany that with the delicacy of the yarn already, then it becomes, just another thing. So for me, it's going to be 3 out of 5 stitch markers. Does that mean that I don't like it? I actually love it, and I fully intend to use it some more. I'm going to be using that green one to make something a little bit similar to this, but quite unique in its own way. And also look for this pattern coming out this week. It's really quick, really simple to make up, not complicated at all. And that should be up, I'd say, just in a couple of days. All right, you guys, go out and do something you love today. Always remember to take care of yourself. Until next time, bye-bye.